Hello, everyone. I still have dog cam on, even though dog is not in here. I will turn dog cam off, unless you want to see the portal uh, companion cube. That's what the word I'm looking for. The companion cube rug for a little while. Anyway, hi. I should be writing number 551. We're nearing the end of December. It's Thursday. And, yeah, hey to people in the chat. Hey, Anne. Hey, Underpope. Yeah, I joined a Patreon accessibility, not accessibility, wrong word. Patreon accountability club. I'd like to join an accessibility club. I could learn some stuff, but right now it's an accountability club. Hey, Undercover Dragon. Hey, Tish. Hey, Phoebe. Hey, Todd. So yeah, we're supposed to be talking about our goals and then meeting weekly to discuss whether we're actually taking any steps to get to our goals. And actually, the first meeting was pretty good. I realized I've been coasting on Patreon for years without actually being ambitious and trying to use all the tools and build the audience as much as I could. So, I'm trying to do that. But also, it did make me feel bad for a little while. Just because, looking at graphs and some podcasts, how they're doing and how this podcast is doing. So I've got a lot of work to do. I did come up with something new for the Patreon next month. And that is, we're calling it Mer's Kick in the Pants. And what I'm going to be doing is twice a month, I'm going to be either email or Discord. I can't decide. I'm not like, I don't have all the details yet. But I'll either be, I'll send a message out with a writing prompt. And then I'll give you about half an hour. And then we can get to a voice or video chat in Discord to talk about the prompt, talk about how people did. They can read if they want. They don't have to read if they want. But it's like a mini workshop. Like the idea of doing a larger workshop or a class, frankly, it gives me a lot of anxiety. That's not a level of attention I can give when I've got other things going on. But the idea of a mini workshop and writing prompts and making people, you've got this idea, you got to write on it now. You can't sit and dither on it. I think that'll be good for everybody. So that's patreon.com/mightymur. And you can find out more about that there. So I'm looking forward to trying that out next month. There's, I think, a couple of days left in the program that I'm going to be sending people. If you join at the $3 or more level, you can get a holiday card from me. I wrote a whole bunch of them out this morning and got a few more addressed. And please, please, please remember that if you are, sorry, my brain went in a couple of different places at once. That's always fun. Please remember that if you think I have your address, but you didn't respond to the email that went out via Patreon, please make it easy on me and just reply to it with your address. That will just make life so much easier for me. And your birth date, if you want me to send you a birthday card. I'm not data mining. I'm not doing anything with this information except for sending 2 pieces of mail a year. That's it. That's the update on me. I hope you guys are fine. Hello, Wordathon. Good to see you. Hey, Fire Rider. You made a stream today. Yay! Good to see you. Oh, I did come up with an idea last night. Of course I did. Of course. It's like when writers want to write themed stories that have to do with a certain point in the year, you have to write it at a point of the year when that time is not happening. You don't write Christmas stories on December 16th. You write Christmas stories, if you want to sell it, you write Christmas stories like in April or May. And if you want to publish it yourself, you should still probably write it around September or October. But no, I got an idea for a Christmas story last night. Sure, fine, whatever. We'll see. We'll see if I get it done. I see Phoebe in the chat. I was complaining to her this morning because I partially blame her because she's an enabler when it comes to baseball. And this idea does have something to do with baseball and Christmas. So if I can get it done, I'll be sending it out to Patreon people. If I can't, then it'll live in my mind, and then we'll see if I can get it done next year. It's not like I have 2 deadlines next month at all, is it? No, not at all. Totally not a bad influence. No, Phoebe, you're not. Nope, not at all. But I had an idea for today's podcast, and that is, if you saw, what if Scrooge were a writer? I was thinking about doing the whole Christmas ghost thing for myself, but it's kind of hard to look at yourself. And also, I don't know if I'm going to die unloved and have to kneel on my own gravestone. So we're going to go back to Charles Dickens. Because if there's 2 retellings I love, it's Christmas Carol and it's parodies of 12 Days of Christmas. I don't know why. I really don't. But I just love the really creative parodies. We often keep a running tally of when we hit the various 12 Pains of Christmas from, I think, Bob Rivers. It's on the Dr. Demento Christmas album. It starts with finding a Christmas tree, stringing up the lights, hangovers, writing Christmas cards, 5 months of bills, facing the in-laws, and on and on. And so whenever something annoying happens where we say, okay, we got the second pain taken care of. It's a very funny song because as the song starts to get long, the people in the early part of the song start to break down. Whereas they're not even saying their part, they're just yelling. Like the rigging up the lights guy, sometimes he'll just yell, "Now why the hell are they blinking?" And one light goes out, they all go out. And then just the hangover guy's like, "Oh geez, somebody get the toilet paper, huh?" Yeah. Straight No Chasers, 12 Days of Christmas. Thank you, Undercover Dragon. I will check that out. Sorry, I'm writing it down. I'm trying to keep show notes and write stuff down so I can make the blog post better. Again, trying to make the podcast and the stream a little bit more responsible and marketing friendly and all that. So if you can't get to 12 Pains of Christmas now, I'll put a link to it. Hey, Anne. Also, I do want to say one thing. Because I put this, I do the streams on Tuesday and Thursday. I put them out on Patreon as soon as I can, often the next day. And then I'll usually then put the episode out on the feed a little bit later. And I was late last week, so last week's stuff is going out this week. And this week's going out like tomorrow and Monday on the feed. So if you are listening to the podcast like the week after, and you wanted to get in on the Patreon special offer, this is only for next week. Because I can't do this, podcasts are evergreen. I can't keep doing this in future years. But if you missed the announcement of the offer because I was late putting the podcast up, just email me and say, I missed the offer. I support at the $3 level. I'd like to be on the Christmas card list. So, because I realize that's on me. So please, you know how to get, if you're on Patreon, you know how to get in touch with me. Or if you're new to Patreon, it's patreon.com/MightyMur. If you're a new person and you join next week, then I will be happy to add you to the list. Even though I came to the stream, I listened to the podcast too in case there's something I missed. Oh, that's cool, Anne. Thank you. So yeah, so I love Christmas Carol parodies. Sometimes they're good, sometimes they're absolutely wretched. Last year we watched one from like the 70s with Henry Winkler. Oh Lord, it was bad. It was so bad. It was so bad. Anyway, so I thought it would be fun to talk about, if Scrooge were a writer, what he would face in the regrets of the past, the things he's neglecting in the present, and what he can look forward to in the future. If you would like to add to the story in the chat, I welcome it. But first, I believe Scrooge would have to be visited by possibly his dead agent, possibly his first agent. The agent was new and Scrooge was new, and they were coming up together. That's my theory. And then the agent made some bad deals, possibly screwed a couple of writers, died early. I don't know. The parallel's not complete. The ghost of Agent Past, yes. No, this is Marley I'm talking about, Anne. But when the ghost visits Scrooge, it would be on taking him to perhaps the first story he ever wrote. Like for me, that would be, I wrote a lot when I was very, very young. My dad has proven this to me by giving me stapled together books by my teacher when I was 5. But the first thing I remember was trying to write something in 8th grade and hating it and throwing it away, and my best friend picking it up. And actually, no, we can do this. We can do me. Why not do me? Because I actually no longer speak to that best friend. We had a falling out. The falling out did not have anything to do with writing, though, so I don't know if I can loop that into the story. But she went and got my story out of the trash and brought it back to me and made me keep writing it. So yeah, I hope she doesn't have a Tiny Tim type child. By which I mean ill and neglected, not disabled. Just making that clear. So what else did he have? He had his first job. So that would be meeting the agent. So perhaps at a World Con where they tried to meet, say, Douglas Adams, and they were too shy. And then Douglas Adams died. This also happened to me. Man, okay, this is becoming me. This is not a Scrooge thing, it's a me thing. I'll admit it. The regrets from the past. Remembering that my friend did pick my manuscript out of the trash. When we attended E3 in 97, 7 or 8. It was still in Atlanta, and Douglas Adams was promoting Starship Titanic. And he was there, and we walked past the Starship Titanic booth, and Douglas Adams was a very tall man. And we're just like, that's Douglas Adams. Oh my God, that's Douglas Adams. And we were very shy, and we kept walking. And then we realized, wait a minute, when are we ever going to see him again? We got to go back, and we got to say hi and how big of fans we are. And we went back, and he'd already left to catch his plane to England. And we told the woman at the booth, and she was actually very kind. She gave us a copy of the game, actually, to, make it up to us. And we thought, okay, we'll next time we're going to talk to him. We promised ourselves. And then he died of a heart attack not soon after. And that's what we tell ourselves when we're too hesitant to do something just basically out of fear. It's like, you got to remember Douglas Adams. You got to just go and do the thing. Let's see. I'm trying to think of what else in the past. Oh, well, there's the quitting writing. There's that. That was a fun decision to make. My in my college creative writing class, there was a man named Dan Coyce who was a very good writer. He was amazing. He wrote a lot of nonfiction stuff. He was amazing. And he intimidated me. His writing intimidated me. Dan was great, but his writing intimidated me. And for some reason, leaving school, trying to get a job, make it on my own, etc., I think I thought consciously I was putting writing on the back burner, but really unconsciously I thought, well, I'm never going to be as good as Dan, so I might as well just not. And then a decade passed. And that's one of the reasons why I do this show, because I don't want anybody else to think, nah, I'm not good enough, or that person's better than me, or I've left school so there's nothing else I can be taught. And not to let that stop you, because I lost a decade of my writing life. I did. There's just no coming back from that. Well, there's coming back. There's trying to come back from it, but there's no getting those years back. And that's possibly my biggest regret, is the years I left behind because I was too afraid to try to get better, to try to stop comparing myself to anybody. This is funny, is that Dan doesn't write science fiction. Dan now writes for Slate. I was in contact with him recently because I was delighted to see his byline. He writes for Slate. He was very sweet to me when we reconnected. We tried to get together. I guess the last summer you could get together with people, which would have been 19, but didn't work out when he was visiting the area. But anyway, that's possibly my biggest regret. So now I can crush the ghost underneath its little hat. You know, it's funny how few Christmas carols keep that imagery, because the light of truth comes out of the top of the ghost's head, but it's got like this candle dampener hat thing. And after just getting really, really upset, Scrooge just crushes the ghost with the hat and puts the light out entirely. George C. Scott version does this very well. So that's that. Phoebe says we're talking a mood here, yeah, with the giving up the years, and says it's funny, but I intimidate several new visually impaired writers and the host of a writing discussion group I attend. Do you mean newly visually impaired or newly writers? I don't know. It's pretty cool to be the intimidator, I guess. I don't know. New writers who are blind. Okay. I just wasn't sure where the new was connected there. But why do you think you do that, Anne? Intimidate them. So when it comes to the next ghost, I always wonder what it is about the opulence, the all of the incredible, not quite hedonism, but it's pretty close. I guess it's just that people consume and spend a lot on Christmas. That could be why. I guess I just wonder why the Ghost of Christmas Present has that, while past and future do not. While we assume, I guess not in Dickens' time, but because there was a time when they didn't celebrate a whole lot in the same way we do now. Anne says, because I have a poetry book published and I'm working on rebranding some of my other books, and I run a podcast and a blog. Blow people away with all I've accomplished. That's pretty awesome. That's great. Yeah, I have that feeling of people think that I do a lot too, while I feel like I neglect one part of my creative life in order to shore up another one. Not like I'm doing all these things at once. It's that whole they see the duck and I see the feet going under the water metaphor. How do I stay balanced? Tish wants to know. I don't. What I've been trying to do lately is, and it's not working, I'll be honest. My thought was lately to do dedicated day every day of the week to one of the things I have to do. For example, while I do streaming twice a week, there's still all the work involved in taking the audio out, processing it, taking the video and processing it for YouTube, uploading, scheduling, scheduling separately for Patreon supporters. All of that work takes a couple of hours, and so I've tried to say that's Friday. Friday is the day I do all the podcasting work. And then I try to do escape artists work on one day. And then the idea is to be writing this whole time. Like get up in the morning, write, and then get to work on whatever else I have going on, and then do streaming if I'm scheduled to, and etc. It started to work, and then I got a migraine last week, and then all the days I didn't do work piled onto other days, so it's not like I could take Friday and do podcast work since I had work from other days that didn't get done, and it all kind of piled up and feel like a snowplow just pushing along. And this week I'm just trying to get stuff done in order to put it away for the holidays. So maybe in the new year I can try that. But ideally I'd like to put most of my effort into one thing a day, one major non-writing project a day, but it's not quite working that way. I wish I could stay balanced. A lot of what I try to do is try to find a program or a system or something to help me organize everything. I did consider getting a couple of books on adult ADD and organizing your life, because I realized I've looked up some stuff online, but I haven't actually looked to see if there are any books. Bill says, people who accomplish much should be inspirational, not intimidating. And says, I kind of understand your pain, so to speak, because recording on the podcast on Zoom doesn't take much time, but uploading them to YouTube and the Anchor platform and doing a blog post for my guests can be time consuming. Yes, exactly. So when I do a podcast, I don't get much writing done. Yeah, there's a lot on the back end that people don't realize. This actual just streaming bit, that's not a lot. That's an hour. And I could upload it as is, but I don't want to do that. I don't even edit like the middle part that much. I just like to put the theme song on it and stuff. But anyway, we were at the second ghost. So the second ghost, very jolly, very short-term memory loss. I was also wondering what the point is there. I don't think I understand the second ghost very well. I guess the opulence is the opulence of Christmas, both metaphorically and literally, except for the two scary children that live under his robes. And that's the dichotomy. But why he has no short-term memory is surprising. I guess the ghost of Christmas present only lasts one day, while the ghost of Christmas past can be eternal, and so can the ghost of Christmas future. We are getting deep into Dickens here, people. Anyway, there's so seeing the people in my life, getting to current day regrets is a little more painful and personal. I think it would just have to be me realizing the effect my writing has on the people around me, and making sure that I give appropriate time and love to family as well as myself and my work. I think for other people, looking at the present day ghost would be maybe coming to terms with people who don't support you as well as you need, and deciding what to do about that. If it's a friend, maybe distance yourself or don't talk about your writing. If it's a parent or a spouse, that's a little harder, but there are ways to try to get people to take your creative work seriously. And I've talked about it on other shows. I can bring it up again, but yeah, it's that would be something for people to address. I'm very, very lucky in that I don't have that, but I do acknowledge that some people do have that problem. Anne says, I don't talk much about my writing to my family because they support me, but they don't understand. Well, I hope you have good outlets online then with or real life friends if anyone's visiting real life friends these days. And that's another thing. If you're not getting what you need, you can try to find another outlet. Again, it's time of pandemic. It's a little harder these days, but I mean, just doing this podcast live and talking to people live while I'm doing it has helped my loneliness because even though I can't hear you guys, I can still have a bit more communication with you than just the podcast, which is one way. And as a writing community, awesome. That's good. I'm glad for that. I've got a couple of friends that I talk to frequently about writing. And I guess also looking at my peer group, my friends, and seeing if there's somebody who needs my help that I'm not giving. Because as adults, we don't ask for a lot of help. And we've almost turned it into shame when you do need help. So my ghost of Christmas present would probably be figuring out how to ask for help when I need it and looking to see who among my friends needs help when they may not be saying so. Hey, Seat. Good to see you again. Hoping to get back into things after the abysmal failure November was. Oh, tell me about it. November was terrible. Absolutely terrible. I fully... You just got to pick yourself back up. That's what I've been trying to do. So yeah, I guess that's my... Kind of like Scrooge, seeing that there are things he can do to help other people. I'm not thinking that the people in my life are undeserving of help, at least, like he did, but I am trying to see who needs it and offer it. Oh no! Seat came down with a painful outbreak of the shingles, took over the month. Oh, that's awful. Oh. I didn't have health, I had career setback, so that derailed everything. So yeah, but that's awful. That's great, Anne. I'm glad you had a productive month. That's considering this year, that's pretty... Anybody who had a productive month last month, I take my hat off to. So yeah, I am trying to do one quick new thing because I realize I do promise a couple of things in my Patreon that I don't always do, and that makes me feel bad. And one of those things is a shout out. So I'm going to break the podcast right now and just say I would like to give a shout out to our sponsors, 3 patrons who support the podcast, help keep the lights on, and help keep me going in our various communities that we build. And so this podcast is sponsored by John Tollerton and Zach Payne. Thank you both for all your help. If you would like someday to be thanked as a sponsor of I Should Be Writing, check out patreon.com/mightymur. Now back to our program. So now we're in the scary part. Why future has to look like death, I don't know. Also, the thing that got me was a lot of people just show Scrooge discovering his gravestone, which seems kind of weird because we're all gonna die. But the real tragedy in the book is that he's completely unmourned. He is literally stolen from as his body is cooling by people who do not care about their fellow people. That he is unmourned by people he knew as good men of business. The only one who cares is a couple who realize that his death will allow them a couple more days to get together their rent so they're not evicted. They have emotion. That's what he asked for. He asked for emotion regarding this man's death. That's what he gets. Someone happy. Those are all the things. It's not the, oh no, I'm going to die. He's an old man. He should know that. We're all going to die. Citation needed. I'm sorry, Phoebe. That's true. I don't have my source available right now. I can look it up if you want, but it'll be later. Check the show notes. Show notes. I'm not going to put sources on death in the show notes for the Christmas Carol. I'm frowning at you, Phoebe. Okay. I'm sorry if that doesn't come over the audio. I was frowning pretty hard. When it comes to the future, you think about your legacy and what you have done as a person. So, like Scrooge, it was specifically to be more charitable and help people when he could, because he definitely had the means to do so. Specifically as a writer, I guess it's this show. I've said this before, but I've been doing it for 15 years and a half, 15 and a half years. This is episode 551. I've very likely said everything I need to say about being a beginning writer and all of the trials you come across, but not everybody is going to be looking at all of the archives. I don't recommend it. I really don't. And also, I grow. And so if the advice is the same, it's probably going to be different when I say it. Hey, thanks for the follow, CF Ender. But also, I am pretty open about my mental illnesses. I've been diagnosed with depression and adult ADD. And I'm open about it, and I'm open about the fact that I'm medicated, because I find it horrific that we both romanticize artists with mental illness and perpetuate the myth that you cannot be creative if you're on any sort of mood-altering drugs. That's just a lie. It's a horrible lie. I believe I heard that Prozac may have dampened a lot of the extreme desires that cause passion and creativity, but there's so many other treatments out there right now. And it's almost every time I think about maybe ending the show, I'll get a note from somebody saying, listening to you caused me to go to the doctor and get treated, get diagnosed, and then I've been getting treatment, and now I feel like I can write again. And that nearly brings me to tears every time. And it means so much to me when people tell me that, because I like to know that I can help. I write funny stuff. I write what I consider not important stuff. But I gotta remember that people like humor. Humor's escapism. And if me being not a doctor, I will say that every time, but encouraging somebody to maybe go to a professional and talk about whatever's holding you back, that's that makes the podcast worth continuing. So I don't see myself ending. If you got an idea for a podcast, let me know. I am doing more planning in January. I'll be trying to make themes for the months. We'll see how that goes. Sorry, I need to catch up with the chat. See, it says, I kind of assumed about being rich and materialistic, you didn't think about life ends eventually. It's pointless to be concerned with hoarding over living. I see. So, you can't take it with you also, kind of thing. Anne says, how do you keep up with how many episodes you have? Well, I number them every time I do one. So when I do all the MP3 tags, I put the episode number. So it's and usually it's in the show, the file title. Like this, I'm looking at the Tuesday's episode, which is ISBW 550. So, just keeping track that way is the best for me. Bill says everyone should look at the future as hope. Yes, because of potential. I got a note from somebody, a long time listener and supporter, who said, 2020 was bad. Yeah. And he had been doing a lot of writing. And, I wrote back and said, well, the cool thing is you can start. You can start again. So if you stop, you can always start again. And that's how I see the future. Phoebe says, I can say that when I started SSRIs, it was like my brain went from 50% to full functionality. In the 72 hours after I started on them, I wrote 2 stories. Wow. I'm jealous. I'm on the drug that took 3 weeks to take hold. But I can promise you that when I started taking them in October of 2004, early December is when I started podcasting. So, or rather, I got diagnosed in October 2004. Got the drugs in November, and then started podcasting because suddenly the potential and the full scope of what I could do was finally clear, and I had the energy for it. So if I had not gone on depressants, yes, I went on depressants, yes. If I had not gone on antidepressants in 2004, I would not be a podcaster. And I doubt I would be an author, because podcasting pretty much built my writing career. So, yeah, I'm always... Oh, the live chat overlay did turn off. That's weird. I don't know what's going on there, Firewriter. Sorry. The festive background brings a smile to my face. I'm very glad. I had a lot of fun trying to find the right festive background. The Halloween stuff I had was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed the Halloween overlays that I had. Dang technology. Yeah, I have no idea, because it did stop updating. Here, I'll turn on the dog cam with no dog to give you something else to look at. So yeah, I hope I won't be driven to my knees in sobbing realization that I am unloved and unmourned in the future. I hope that I will continue to try to help people when I can with this podcast and any other way I can. And hope that my writing continues to entertain or distract or whatever. Whatever my writing does. I hope it continues to do that. Or gets better. That'd be nice. Yeah, I think that's the third ghost. Now I need to open up the window and throw some money at a little boy and trust that he'll go buy a goose and bring it back to me. Podcast motivates me, Ditch Diggers too. Thank you. Yeah, I've got an email into Matt about us doing an episode soon and then restarting in the new year, but he hasn't answered me. Jerk. I love Matt dearly. So I guess that is my slight overview of trying to look at myself as taking the three ghosts and looking at my writing career and finding the regrets of the past and trying to do the right thing in the present and continue to do the right thing in the future, or start um, start doing better in the future. Anne writes, journaling was cathartic for me when I was going through some tough times in my life. Yeah, I started journaling again this year, and I was trying to chronicle, well, everything that was going on, and I stopped. And I can't even remember why, but a couple of times I've tried to pick it back up again, and the first sentence is always, okay, I'm trying this again, and I don't know. It's hard for me to build habits. That's really it. I've got like tons of books on building habits, and I think I get excited and forget that you're supposed to change one thing. And then I think, well, I can't think of one thing to put in priority above all the others. So, like, why is journaling more important than walking every day or playing my violin every day or something? And then I go back to doing none of them. That's how my brain works. How are you? Junk journal is a dumping ground for scenes I take out of my books. That's interesting, Anne. Undercover Dragon says, I liked journaling when I did it, but it took me so long that I felt like it was time I could spend doing something else. That is a good point, Undercover Dragon. I do like making notes in when I'm with pencil or pen and paper, but when it comes to actually writing out sentences, my handwriting is atrocious. And I usually think a lot faster than I can write, so my words just become this jumble of mess, and I don't even know what, like, going. I'm glad that the writers, the Artist's Way says don't go back and read your morning pages, because I would be unable to, just because I'm such a mess. Well, my writing's a mess. I'm doing tolerably. But I want to see if anybody has any more questions for me. Make notes on my phone when I'm listening to music and not on my computer, and email them to myself. Oh, that's smart, Anne. Hey, Phased Out, good to see you. Curiosity drives me. My poor handwriting was diagnosed as a very specific form of dyslexia, a disconnect between my excellent language skills and my hand. Did you ever do a psychoeducational exam? No, I never did. Interesting. I didn't know people... Yeah, I didn't know that was a thing. Yeah, my handwriting's terrible, and I did learn that there's a similar form of dyslexia, but for numbers, and I have never been diagnosed with it, but I certainly have some of the symptoms. So, dyscalculia? Okay, that sounds right. Thank you. Yeah, but it just makes me just try to be more careful with numbers. But I remember one very clear moment when, back in the days of answering machines, when I came home and I listened to my messages, and my boyfriend was with me, and I picked up the phone and I dialed the number that was in my message, and he just looked at me and he's like, that's not the number they said. And I'm like, it wasn't? No, it was. It totally is. No. I completely just switched them around in my mind. So now I just try to be more careful. But I am the kind of person that if you give me like a whole bunch of things to count or sort, I will come up with a different number almost every time. I felt that typical mom guilt that I couldn't be a cookie mom for the Girl Scouts. But the year that my daughter sold a lot of cookies, a whole lot of cookies, and we had them all in our home, and we're trying to count them and sort them to different, collections for people, I would come up with different numbers every time. And I knew that if they had me be cooking mom, I would bankrupt the troop just because my numbers would not add up. So yeah, I doubt they thought so, but I was doing them a favor. I really was. But we are getting close to our end time. If you have any further questions, go ahead and put them in the chat. As I mentioned, I'm going to be changing things up in the new year. I'm going to be doing, I think I might change the time of one of the streams just to see if I can be better for different time zones and work schedules. I'll be doing changing up the Patreon. So if you're on Patreon, you'll see notes about that. If you're not on the Patreon, I invite you to join patreon.com/mightymur. Trying to invigorate it a little bit. So the changes will be coming there. I don't want to promise all the changes in my head, but there will be more than I've announced thus far. And, oh, thank you, Phased Out. Oh, Girl Scout cookies. That's what you're talking about. Girl Scout cookies are a piece of genuine Americana I never got to try, so I'll see if I can get them next time I'm in your country. Yeah, you should do that. They're delicious. They are. And a lot of people have tried to remake them and sell them year round, and it's not the same. But so much US stuff that doesn't cross the border. Sometimes that's good. Like candy from other countries, man. I don't know how we get away with the crap we put in candy. Oh, thank you, Phased Out. That's very sweet. I got you into podcasting and audiobooks, brought a lot of joy to your life. Patreon is the only way you can thank you back. Well, hanging out in the streams are good, too. Want to apologize for a recent stream where Streamlabs crashed, but I didn't know it was still recording/streaming, so that was embarrassing. But now I know that when Streamlabs crash, it might continue to be working. I don't know how that works, but it apparently does. Anyway, about me, murverse.com is where you can find me online. mightymur@gmail.com if you want to email me. And if you want to catch the next live stream, I think I'm just going to take next week off, guys. I'm sorry. I wanted to do some streams before Christmas, but I think for some of the things I have planned in my own mental well-being, I'm just going to take some time off around the holidays and come back in January. I'll still be around, Discord and stuff. But for the next stream, it'll be Monday, the 3rd or 4th. I can't remember. But I'll be doing my usual AMA at 12:30. And then I'll probably be doing Tuesdays at 12:30 and then Thursdays at 3 p.m. So that might accommodate some other time zones a little bit better. And then we'll continue into 2021. Please, please, please stay safe and well this Christmas and holidays and New Year's and last night of Hanukkah. I worry about everybody these days. And yeah, stay safe. Happy times. Stay safe. Call your family. Talk to them on FaceTime. If you can see them safely, more power to you, but please be safe. And, it's been a crappy year, and I know that it's not going to automatically get better on January 1st, but it's going to feel like we have a new start. At least not writing that wretched number anymore. I was actually I put on somebody's holiday postcard this morning that someday 2020 is going to be a swear. Like, 2020, I just lost my job, or hey, get 2020. I don't know. It doesn't sound good, but considering how much we hate this, I think it could catch on. But anyway, new year, new start. Going to try to have a fresh outlook. Going to try to turn things around. And Yes. And I want to say thank you to everybody watching. I watch some other streams where they point out how awesome their chat is and how they're welcoming and friendly to everybody, and I really treasure that about y'all. So if you are lurking and not chatting, that's totally cool. I'm glad to have you here. If you're chatting, that's totally cool too. I really enjoy talking to people. But I'm still loving Twitch. Definitely going to keep doing it. And hope everybody has a good couple of weeks. And I'll see you in January. Until then, you should be writing, at least a little bit.